What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to show you how to build your own water softener or rebuild a water softener. This tank, somebody was throwing it away. It was no longer in service. I don't know if the old timer works or not, but I'm going to use a newer timer. Not a digital, but a newer mechanical timer. This operates on time intervals to where a certain amount of time goes by, then it regenerates. That could be wasteful for water. Say you're on vacation, it's going to still regenerate. It's going to waste salt and water. For my water softener build, I have the following: a brine tank, conditioner tank. This is the old head. I'll reuse this cover on a new valve here. I'll be using a metered valve as opposed to a clock valve. A 20-inch water filter, cartridge water filter. The cartridge for it, carbon activated. The bypass valve off of the old valve. I'm going to put it on the new one. A new brine line from the head to the brine tank, because it's a longer run. I have the tank further away from where it was in its past life. I have resin. I have 1.5 cubic foot of resin. It's the same brand. That's a cubic foot, and that's half a foot. And also I'm going to put a gravel bed at the bottom. There's different opinions about it, but I believe the gravel bed, since it's larger granules than the resin, it'll help keep the pickup more clear. This is a new pickup. The other one was a little bit mangled up, so I'll be putting a new one in here. And salt. I just estimated 6 bags. It'll probably take more. This tank is actually a way or higher capacity than I need for my house, but overkilling is what I do. So it's all good. These are pretty easy to remove. If it's tight, have somebody hold the tank while you twist the valve. It'll unscrew, and you'll notice there's an O-ring in there. I'm no longer going to use this valve, so I will probably sell it on eBay to a rebuilder or throw it in the garbage. So here's the old water pickup. Very thin-bodied. I don't know if that's even PVC. I think it's PVC. So I decided to get a new one. One reason is it looks like it was forced down into the tank, so it's a bit too long. And also, this end was sort of mushroomed in. The resin looked pretty good, so I'm suspecting this might have been part of the problem that they had with the softener, and they wanted to get rid of it. Here's a new one, thicker PVC. You could actually just order this pickup screen, and you could add a 3/4 inch PVC to it. It's a lot cheaper. So what I'm going to do is, here's the new head. I'm going to place the new pipe into here. I've actually already marked where it maxes out. Right there. So that's already marked. the maximum height of the pipe is already marked here. So I'll measure this, and what I'll do is I'll remove an extra 1/4 of an inch. So I will cut the pipe 3 inches. First thing I'm going to do is insert the pickup line, and I will put some tape over on top of this, so that way when I pour the gravel and the resin into the tank, it doesn't get inside the pickup. You do not want it inside the pickup. People usually use tape, but a trick I came up with is a good old condom. Now, I can fill the gravel and the resin up. I'll pour the gravel and the resin in. You want enough gravel so that it's about up to here. You don't have to go any higher than that, just to act as an extra filter for this. Go ahead and take the gravel, add it first. It's gold, pure gold. Take off the condom. And no problems 9 months from now. Look at that. You're supposed to have a certain amount of space in the tank empty for the water to reside. So I have it probably up to here with gravel and up to here with resin. So here's the new valve. The O-ring, it's a rebuilt valve, so the O-ring's already lubed up for you and everything. Just check this mating surface to make sure it's smooth, no gouges, and clean. This is clean. There's no frays on the edges that could interfere with the O-ring inside. And then you just go ahead and you slip it on. The trick is to go in reverse first till you catch the thread. See, here's the impeller. I believe that's what it's called, maybe not. But that's what tells the unit how many gallons of water has flown through the tank. Now the tank's rebuilt. I'll use the old lid. Should fit perfectly, boom. And I'll go ahead and relocate the tanks to where they're going to reside on the side of my house. I'm going to go ahead and prep the bypass valve with 3/4 inch nipples. So when I get the tank in place, all I have to do is run some PVC. Boom, boom, done. What you want to do is you want to clean these threads if you can. Clean them out as good as you can. There's pipe dope in there. It's soft, so I'm not too worried about it. And then I'm going to put Teflon tape around the threads, and then pipe dope, thread sealant, torque it down real good. And then I'll go ahead and take the valve body and mount it on the valve itself. The bypass valve I'll mount on the generation body. I like to go around 3 or 4 times, especially with big threads, with the tape. These are large coarse threads, so a few more times to fill in the gaps. Right? I'll go ahead and add pipe thread sealing onto it now and torque them down. Thread sealant's been added. Time to torque it down. Nice and tight. And there it is. Sealed, torqued down very good. Now what you want to do with these, you want to remove the retaining, these retaining screws, brackets. And you slide it in over the O-rings. Now this appears loose, like wow, how can that hold water, right? But it's because there's O-rings in there, and those O-rings can shift. And when the water pressure builds up, it pushes against the O-rings to further help seal. So you always want to keep your O-rings in good shape. These have been lubed because this tank is rebuilt. So loosen the brackets, pop it in there, and I'm good to go. See, it'll pop right on there. Boom. And then you just put the brackets in place and tighten the screws both sides. And there you have it. The tank is rebuilt. Valve installed. Bypass valve installed. Get the header ready. I'll probably end up going down. And I'll probably have the cartridge filter behind the tank in some way, since there's so much space between the tank and the wall because of this long unit here. There's probably another way to do this where I can go down. But I'll see if it's necessary after I put it in place. But as it is right now, this should be good to go. So as for the cartridge pre-filter, I decided to put it almost directly behind the tank. Here's the pad for the tank, and I made the holes already for the bracket. Bracket's gonna go like that. I always suggest stainless steel hardware for the outside. Now I have the lid prepped. I can go ahead and mount it up here with some lug nuts, some lug bolts. So here's the lid to my cartridge filter, my pre-filter that will go before the softener. I'm gonna go ahead and Teflon tape these fittings put thread sealing on it and torque them down in each of the ports so they're ready to accept 3/4 inch PVC. Go ahead and unwrap this. Make sure that rubber seal is still there and flat. I'll take it and screw it together. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and connect the brine line to the valve. Basically, you have a nut, a ferrule with the beveled edge out, and this internal insert. Now that will allow us to connect it into this port. And see what happens is the nut tightens down and it tends to flare this way, tightening the seal between the plastic and the copper. I mean the brass. Plastic and the brass. That's it. Tighten it down maybe like 1/4 of a turn after it's finished, after it's hand tight. About 1/4 of a turn. And you're in business. A little more. So the brine tank line, 3/8 of an inch OD. It's ran all the way to the tank area. There's a hole for the input of the tank here. So what I'll do is I'll just feed it up through there. Make sure nothing's kinked. I'll give it a loop and freaking just pop it in there. Same thing, you want this nice and flat. In this fitting, you actually just, it's like a quick fitting. That's it. That's it. So now all I have to do, I already had a loop. I put a loop in a long time ago when I dug this area up. So I knew I was putting in a softener, so I made the loop on purpose. So all I got to do is run a line to here, input, output to the input of here. Another thing I'll have to do is run a drain line from here. And I think I'm going to, I'm not sure where I'm going to drain it. I might just drain it here and not have any plants in this area because it'll be salt watered. A couple years ago when I was doing work here, I purposely made a loop for my water input line from the house, coming from the street, looped then into the house. I intercepted it. The irrigation system is piped before the softener, so I'm not softening water that I'm using to water my grass and plants. So I have everything pretty much piped in except for the output into the house, because what I want to do is I want to turn it off bypass so the water flows through the tank, turn the water on and let the tank fill up, let the cartridge filter fill up, and let it pour out of the exhaust here, so that way there's no air in the system. And then I'll go ahead and finish the last piece of pipe, boom boom, and wrap it up. Okay, it's filling up. I hear it in the tank. There it is. There it is. See this? See that? Flush all of that out. Let it run for a couple minutes. That's pretty clear now. back together. I have the drain running underneath the sidewalk here. Over here and to the corner of this area here. I'm going to be pouring concrete here, so it's just going to pretty much pour out that way.